New questions emerging about part of the response to that massive Walmart warehouse fire. Plainfield's fire chief confirmed today that firefighters turned off a portion of that sprinkler system after they arrived inside. Now, most of the warehouse suppression system stayed on that day, but water was turned off in the specific area where that fire was burning. So tonight at 11, we're getting an inside look at how firefighters train for these large-scale events. We'll also bring you up to date on that warehouse fire investigation. But first tonight, our Emily Longnecker talked with a veteran firefighter to get some perspective on the initial response to that big blaze.
Something went drastically wrong.
That's what retired fire chief and public safety director Mark Bashore believes.
Engine 142.
When he listens to the radio traffic between fire crews from Wednesday's warehouse fire in Plainfield and sees video of an inferno from a burning building the size of 21 football fields.
Let's be honest, I wasn't there. So me commenting on this is about what I hear on the radio and about what I know.
And after 40 years on fire departments across the country, now the executive editor for FireRescue1.com, a website for fire industry professionals, Bashore says there are lessons every fire department can take away.
1.2 million square foot fully sprinkled buildings don't normally burn down. So we need to figure out what happened.
In an article on FireRescue1.com, Bashore outlined his main takeaways after analyzing more than 2 hours of radio traffic between fire crews on scene.
Engine 121, be advised, we have zero visibility inside.
Then, a short time later,
We're under control. The doors open up and start that ventilation process.
You know, they really couldn't see what was going on. So I'm sure there's going to be an analytical look at how that determination was made that the fire was under control.
Bashore also questions about the call to open up the doors.
That feeds oxygen to a potential fire, if there is still one.
Then,
We're going to need to shut down the riser that controls the sprinkler heads in the section we're working off of.
What shutting it off tells me is they believe they have it under control and they no longer need those sprinklers to continue flowing water.
but combine that call with the one to open the doors.
So if you shut down the sprinkler system and you introduce this air intake, and if the fire was still in a smoldering state, you just created a recipe for disaster. And unfortunately, that looks like it may have played out.
Bashore says only a thorough investigation will determine what really happened.
There was a lot of folks that were extremely fortunate that they walked away alive, both occupants of the building and firefighters.
Plainfield's fire chief told us today they plan to release some additional details later about this fire response, strategies, and techniques that day.
We're taking a closer look at the training firefighters get to prepare for these kinds of massive fires. Just today, Brownsburg's fire department put its training to the test at another warehouse fire. This time, the building was under construction and embers from a torch hit insulation, sparking the fire. Now, regardless of the cause, when a building of this size catches fire, you have to know how to respond. So our Lauren Kostick found what that training looks like.
From the moment a call comes in, crews already know their role.
Whenever we're going to the fire, it's as awesome to us as it is to the public. The only difference is when we get there, we know our purpose.
Danny Brock with the Brownsburg Fire Territory says many factors come into play.
So what we're thinking when we get there is, what tool am I going to grab? What are we going to be responsible for? If we're attacked, we're grabbing a hose line. If it's commercial, we may grab a 2.5-inch hose line. If it's a residence, we're going to grab 1 3/4 inch.
It creates an almost seamless process, despite how overwhelming a fire might look.
You know, when you have one of these massive fires, you might have literally hundreds of functions going on at the same time across a very large area. Each one really is broken down into a smaller task level.
It starts with a commander who puts various operations in place around the incident. Then each operation has a safety officer who oversees a group of firefighters and paramedics. And when it comes to doing the job, that's when their training kicks in.
We have trainings for every facet of this job and what it takes to do the job.
The training covers basic fire attack skills to special operations, and a big focus is also on knowing the buildings in the community.
Our crews, the guys who are actually going to fight the fires, are walking through our buildings to familiarize themselves, so in case an emergency does happen, they already have some foreknowledge of what will go on there.
Tony Smith, the deputy chief of operations, says they are constantly reviewing buildings as businesses come and go, so their crews aren't caught off guard.
Hopefully we've done our part to give them the best chance, but make no mistake about it. It's the brave men and women of our fire department getting off the fire rigs that really do the real work.
Now that giant warehouse fire is finally out, fire investigators are now shifting their focus, trying to figure out what caused it. First, they have to make sure the remaining structure is sound to avoid any wall collapses. But tonight's rain and storms could delay that effort. ATF is also on the scene tonight to help with this investigation because of their extensive experience with fire and explosions. Then there's the environmental investigation that's underway. The EPA and IDEM have been out there collecting air samples but have not yet released results. The Hendricks County Health Department has a list of answers to frequently asked questions. It's online right now. Everything from what to do if ash or debris is on your property to concerns about your drinking water. They also have a dedicated phone number you can call. We've got a link to all that posted for you right now. It's on WTHR.com.